Down again.
Yep. Wait. My phone has decided to
What's
just
it
do...
doing?
I don't know.
What does it say?
It said optimizing apps. Like it done some kind... We are back.
No, we're not. We'll just come back down.
No, we haven't. We're still streaming in full.
No, you've just started. It's just started again on Twitch.
Right, well, we're back. Okay, we're back. Things are going through. Yeah, we're back. You are on screen and talking, according to Natasha. So...
Yeah, I see that.
I can hear
Just
you,
waiting to
says
make sure
Bernard.
it doesn't fall over again.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're good. Nice, strong, stable, as Theresa May would say. And with that little hiccup out of the way, John introduced the show.
Welcome, one and all, to the debacle that is Chasing Dissent Live, episode 149.
Well, we are back, we are here, we are live. So, John, let's get straight into it. We have our list ready and waiting to go. What is in the news today, my friend?
Well, we've got quite a few things. And I'd actually like Banana Monarchy. I don't think we've heard them before. I'd like to give them a shout out. A new name in the chat.
It's actually a changed name. I believe it used to be Belladonna Hawkmoon.
Oh.
But...
Oh, right. We know Belladonna. But,
yes.
Yes, that's good. And for this, yes, you will have noticed by now that John does not do well when things do not go to his liking.
He turns grumpy.
He's not that happy there.
No, he turns grumpy.
And I was quite ebullient this morning, was I not?
Yeah, you
quite
were.
Amenable, quite genial.
Yeah, you were. So
you go and do things that make me unhappy. Anyway, right. So what are we starting with?
Liberals urge Biden to rethink Ukraine strategy, and this is all, I imagine, off the back of the midterms, right?
Yeah, well, but this is just what Elon said 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, and got castigated for by the Democrats.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So Elon comes up with the idea. Everybody says, who does this guy think he is? You know, shut up, billionaire. Go back to making rockets and crappy electric cars and do your own thing. Don't tell people what to do. And then suddenly 2 weeks later, it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, absolutely. And I'm going to actually tell you what to do right now, John. John, I'm going to tell you what to do. Turn off your speakers.
I knew there was something wrong. I knew it.
But no, yes, you're absolutely right. It's basically what Elon said, and the Democrats know, the Liberals know, they're going to get absolutely eviscerated in these midterms. It is almost, the writing is almost on the wall at this point, and you know, touch wood, I'm right, but the Americans are sick of the gas price going up at the pump, the price of food going up in the shop, the fact that some shops barely have any food. They're sick of all this, and they're being ruled over by the Democrats. So they can only really take from that it's the Democrats who are responsible for this mess. So if you want to be a turkey, continue to vote for Christmas. You might be with the Republicans as well, but at this point, what you got to lose? What you got to lose?
What have you got to lose? And speaking of loss,
yep,
here's a brief update that will give you an idea of what it's like to live in Nicola Sturgeon's constituency in Glasgow.
Shall we sit back and relax and let them watch this lovely mini movie?
Let's just watch this mini movie.
Strong leadership. There is rubbish across the streets. Is that not an example of the SNP letting down people in these communities?
The triumphs of our great pretender, television's Nicola Sturgeon. Thanks to her, we boast the highest drug and alcohol death rates in Europe, and a life expectancy that's also the lowest in Western Europe. Now there's some records. Why not take a stroll to see attractions like rubbish strewn everywhere, thanks to highly paid and wholly ineffective Susan Aitken and Nicola Sturgeon?
I know that cleansing issues in Glasgow are difficult.
Bluff, bluster, but never actually empty the bins or fix the roads. And watch out for the plague of uncontrollable rats.
All cities have rats.
Cheeky little critters. Why not visit Govanhill to see deprivation firsthand?
As a local MSP here, these are issues I raise on behalf of my constituents all of the time.
Just don't go looking for a library, because First Councillor Nicola Sturgeon has closed most of them. You've got to destroy the whole education system to keep the poverty cycle alive, right, Nicola? Take a stroll to Glasgow's magical Museum of Invisible Things, the curation of all Nicola's best promises she never enacted, the invisible HQ of Nicola's promised public energy company, and many absent benefits of the climate change targets she's missed year after year after year. The invisible improvements to our broken NHS waiting times. And some advice: whatever you do, don't have an accident and don't phone an ambulance, because you won't get one. So, have you seen enough credible action yet? Take a look at our tragically distracted border-building parochial leaders and imagine what this city and our amazing people could be if it were not for the malignant SNP.
Oh dear. That was brilliant.
It was quite well done. I'd like to take credit for it where it wasn't mine.
It wasn't.
I stole it off Twitter, but it's good. It's good.
It's just a joke, really, isn't it? When you look at things like this, and you look at things like the next slide, and you think, what are the people in power actually doing? What are they doing?
Someone has got to tell me what's going on here, because either he's incredibly stupid.
Yep.
Or they are just so far down a road of self-destruction that they can't comprehend any way of pulling it back. Because, and let me just refresh your memory. This woman resigned a week ago because she admitted she'd made a mistake, and she admitted that she'd breached the ministerial code. Now, we all know that was a load of shite.
Yeah.
Right? But she admitted that, and she put it in writing and resigned.
She put it in that pious letter that I believe was actually right. So, and this is all conjecture. What I'm about to tell you, what I'm about to say is all conjecture, because obviously we don't know what goes on behind the scenes with these slippery, slimy snakes. But I believe that her letter, her resignation letter, were talking about I've got to take responsibility for my actions, and aiming that at Liz Truss, was probably handwritten by Rishi Sunak himself, right?
Well, does it not bear a startling resemblance to the letter that he sent to Boris that started the whole proceedings off?
Yeah. No, I honestly believe that this is, once again, pure conjecture, but I believe that Suella Braverman she did what she did last week with Liz Truss at the behest of Rishi Sunak. I believe she did it with the promise already in mind that she would return to the post of Home Secretary. I believe that she did it to undermine trust in Liz Truss. And I believe all of this happened because Richland Sunak, and that's not his name, I know, I just like calling him Richland, is a sore loser. He couldn't take the fact that the members didn't want him. He couldn't take the fact that he was not Prime Minister. So he did everything he could from his leisure centre to undermine the current Prime Minister, which at the time was Liz Truss. And he used people like Suella Braverman to do it.
Yeah. So the thing is, he's now undermining the current Prime Minister,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
which is
right.
himself.
You're absolutely
Because he's put her back in a post that she resigned from because she'd committed a ministerial breach.
Yeah.
And he's put her back in the same post a week later.
Yeah.
Now, how can that be? And really, the backlash that from this is only starting to build now.
Yeah.
But people are calling him out on it at all points. This could be the straw that brings down his government.
No, you're
You're
absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And he's doing it to himself, and he's got nobody to blame but himself.
Yes.
I think he just thinks he's untouchable, right? I think he's he's a slippery, slimy snake, and he purposely did this. He purposely did all of this. He orchestrated the downfall of Liz Truss. And if it wasn't the mini budget, which I still don't think was terrible, it could have been improved, absolutely. But if it wasn't the mini budget, it was going to be something else. They used what they could. And Storam here says in the chat, dead government walking. I don't even recognise it as a government.
Well, I think we actually used that phrase last night when we were talking to each other.
Yeah, I don't even recognise it as legitimate government, and neither should you, as far as I'm concerned.
I certainly can't recognise
here we go.
As a legitimate government.
Look who's returned to levelling up.
Speaking of slippery snakes.
Look who's returned to levelling up.
So really, he seems to be putting back in place more or less the cabinet that was there before he shoved a knife into the back of Alexander.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I tell you who else has made it onto the list. I don't know if you've put him in the list, but I tell you who's made it into the cabinet again. Nadeem Zahawi. He's back.
He's got a perfect record.
He's back.
What is he this time?
I'm not sure. I did see him at the bottom of the list there. I didn't catch what he is, but yep, Nadeem Zahawi is indeed. He's back in the cabinet.
Right. So Theresa Coffey's still in it.
Now
but she's changed position.
She has changed positions, right?
So she's gone from sitting in one position to sitting in another.
Right.
That she knows nothing about.
Well, no. Right? I'm actually going to disagree with you here because the official title is not Environment Secretary. The official title is Food and Environment Secretary.
Or you're being fattest, aren't you? You're saying that she knows a lot about food because she's fattest. Well, I contend, sir, that she knows little about food because she's fat.
I never said that. I said she likes food. I'm going to say she likes food.
Yeah, well, let's face it, she's no stranger to a donut or a bit of a greasy pie, is she?
No, and I think when Rishi said the food part, she's like, yeah, I'm in. Food, I'm in.
I think Banana Monarchy says it's the cabinet of ugliness. I think Sunak is working on the basis that, let's face it, he's not a very pretty boy, is he? He's not like you, Ben. He can't sway a room just by looking at people. So I think he's working on the basis of the fat ugly bird. You know, so the semi-reasonable looking girl surrounds herself with fat ugly birds, so she really stands out.
Yeah.
And I think he's working on that basis. So he's just trying to make himself look good by attracting the waifs and strays of the Tory party into his cabinet.
Yeah. And
and speaking of waifs and strays, somebody's not a happy bear.
I tell you what, I saw this last night as well. Penny Mordaunt leaving with a face like thunder because she has been reappointed as Lord President of the Council and Leader of the House of Commons. And Harry Cole here says she just left with a face like thunder. Understand she was in there for more than an hour and there were some fireworks. And I don't doubt it.
She had to be going for Chancellor.
She definitely wanted a much higher position, put it that way.
Yeah. I think she had to be going for Chancellor or I don't know, what else?
He's screwed her.
Yeah, he has.
He's given her basically a position to go, oh, there you go. There you go, Penny. You got something. Right? Something's better than nothing. Don't you forget that, Mordaunt. Do not forget that. That's basically what he's done. despite the fact that, do you know what? If I were her, I wouldn't have conceded, and I would have also challenged this whole 100 people need to nominate for you to go on the ballot thing, because that was just a rule made up on the spot by the 1922, right? It was just made up. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was engineered. That's what it was, and let's be honest, it was the only way he was going to get in, because as we've discussed, and I think we discussed this yesterday, it was anyone but Sunak.
Anyone but Sunak, and that's what the members would have done.
Rashi Sunuk. Rashi Sunuk, as
Rashi Sunuk.
Shall now be known.
Yeah, it'd be thanks to our good friend and dementia-ridden Uncle Joe Biden.
Yeah, I think I saw someone say that if you'd run a stuffed rabbit against them, that would have won the position.
You would have done, I believe so. If you'd run somebody in a poorly made Chinese knockoff Mickey Mouse costume against him, it would have run. He could have stood there going, "Hi there, Tory members! Hi there!"
Even, dare I say it, a Winnie the Pooh costume.
Banned in China.
List. We'll be on the kill list.
Imagine someone in a Winnie the Pooh costume winning against Rishi Sunak, becoming Prime Minister, and then trying to deal with Xi Jinping. He wouldn't take the call, would he? He wouldn't take the call.
He wouldn't.
He wouldn't take the call. Now, moving on, we have our new Health Minister, Steve Barclay. And John, what does Steve Barclay know about health?
Probably about as much as I know about skateboarding.
I've seen you ripping that 14-foot vert pipe, dude. I've seen it.
No,
We've all seen it.
I know nothing about skateboarding.
We've all seen it.
You can probably health secretary as well as I can play electric guitar.
Well, okay, so not too good. We're going to move to Natasha in the chat.
Not too good, mate.
And she says if they put Larry the Cat up in general election, he would
Larry
the
Cat's
floor
left.
With all the
Did
parties.
you not see it? Did you not see the meme?
No.
Larry the Cat's left. He slunk off, saying, "I'm off. I don't fancy being part of a curry."
Meow. Oh, fucking hell. Grant Shapps! Shapps is back, baby!
Business secretary.
Grant Shapps is the man that's got about 17 identities, isn't he?
Yeah, probably.
He's got loads of different identities. He writes books as women, and he's a nut bar. But once again,
I mean, it's always been traditional for people to have non-diplom when writing. I mean, J.K. Rowling herself writes as Richard Galbraith, does she not?
She does, indeed. Yeah, she does. But then she's one of yours, and let's face it, your lot aren't normal.
Well, no, but it depends what sphere you're writing in, because if you're writing as a woman in a sphere that's predominantly written by men, then if you really want to get an edge, you'd probably pretend to be a man.
Yeah, no.
Not like Eddie Izzard does.
No.
But let's not go down that route. But, you know.
So let's go back to a comment that you made earlier. It looks like that Boris Johnson's old cabinet is essentially being reinstalled. Boris Johnson's Deputy Prime Minister is now Rishi Sunak's Deputy Prime Minister. Dominic Raab has been appointed Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister. It really is feathering your mate's nest, isn't it?
Yeah, and he kept Liz Truss's Chancellor, didn't he?
Yeah. He did keep her Chancellor, the arsehole that is Jeremy Hunt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, we're not your typical news show. If this is your first time watching, we do call our politicians arseholes.
Well, because they normally are.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, my friend. And we can move on to this tweet from Rishi Sunak. A privilege to speak to the President of Ukraine, Zelensky, UA, this evening. Both he and the Ukrainian people can count on the UK's continued solidarity and support. We will always stand with Ukraine.
Right, two things about this.
Mm-hmm.
One, he's using a Surface device. They're very expensive.
Right.
The soldier chap.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Two, actually, there's three things about this. Two, the soldier chap looks like something like the CCP.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's true.
Ready to report to Winnie the Pooh.
Doesn't it? It just looks, and the whole thing has an aura of communism about it, the way it's staged and set there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the man that's Rishi Sunak is the man that's already announced CBDCs.
Yeah, it looks like a communist regime, even down to the things like the heavy gold leaf on the raised decorative edges of the woodwork, you know.
No,
And then Sunak himself in his stupid overbite position with his scrawny hunched body. He's got a very bad stance. See the way he walks?
Because he's tiny. He's a tiny little man with a big head. It's
Yeah,
really
well, yeah.
disproportionate. It's like that tiny little body is trying to hold up that huge head. It's like a walking rendition of a fucking bobblehead. He really...
It's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because I've got a bobblehead stormtrooper on the front of the van, and that's exactly what it reminds me of.
Yes.
Rishi Sunak.
He's got a tiny little body and a massive head. It's just, and you can
And a
poke
massive overbite.
But but I've got a massive overbite. But that's not the point, right? You could poke Rishi and he'd go.
There's nothing dishy about him.
No,
Nothing dishy
there's
about
not.
him.
He's just got that way. He just slicks his hair and can talk properly. That's about it, right? I mean, when you put him against Boris Johnson, when you stand them next to one another, then I get why they called him Dishy Rishi. And
Yeah, okay.
Sauron calls him Dishy Bobblehead. Yeah. So don't be fooled. Tweets this. There's only one way to complete this story. Excuse for a calendar of prime ministers: August, September, October, November.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Although you could put something else in there instead of a GE.
What, you mean the absolute collapse of the entire parliamentary system?
Yeah, raise it to the ground.
Revolution, baby. I absolutely agree.
Not that we're calling for it.
No, but I would definitely cover
I'd
it
cover
with a
it.
grin on my face.
I'd cover it.
Because let's face it, a general election, what's that going to do for you? It's going to bring you Keir Starmer, who, as I said on a video that's now had over 1,000 hits on TikTok, thank you very much, he doesn't care about you. He wanted to do worse to you. He wanted to lock you down harder, faster,
I mean,
destroy more of your rights. Great
Rishi
choice.
Rishi and Starmer are they're part of the same Communist Party.
Yeah.
There's no difference. There's no difference here, people. I mean, you're not going to get any change. You know, you might find there's a penny of a difference here on a tax rate, or somebody cuts VAT by maybe 0.5% or 1% or something. But you're not going to get any sweeping change. You're not going to get anything that's going to make a difference to you.
Nope.
You're just going to continue to be bent over the table and ridden like a donkey.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right,
And
John.
that's basically it.
You're absolutely right. I keep telling you, there is no red and blue anymore. There is only purple. There is only purple. They are all the same. They don't care about you. They've never cared about you. So
That's it.
just keep going and voting for your own demise. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what
Vote.
you're doing.
Vote, little turkey, vote.
And speaking of someone who clearly is trying to hasten his own demise, British LGBT activist Peter Tatchell says he was stopped by 5 police officers who folded up his placard, took photos of his passport and other papers, and those of a man accompanying him. This is in Qatar?
Yeah.
Why on earth?
I'm surprised they let him stay out.
I'm surprised he's still alive. And that's
So
why I
just-
say hastening his own demise.
I just don't understand why these people. I don't know what it is. Do they live in a complete, sheltered environment that they have no idea what goes on in the rest of the world? That some countries are inherently dangerous, particularly if you are of a peculiar bent, shall we say? And you won't get away with it. You won't get to prod this tiger or pull its tail,
No, you're
and then
absolutely
walk
right.
away without anything, without consequence.
Do you know
because
what?
They just don't understand.
Do you know what? What people don't understand is how good they really do have it in these Western nations, and how good rights are. And I mean, we're not there yet, especially here in the UK and stuff like that. We're not there yet with freedom of expression, thought, speech, and things like that. We're not there.
We're falling the other way. We did have proper freedom of expression and freedom of speech,
Yeah.
but it's going and going, and it's becoming more and more like a communist country every day.
But the problem is, in these, especially these Middle Eastern religious-run nations, and you got to remember, they are ruled by their religion. Okay. Fundamentally,
religious.
they're not going to have it the same here. And now I understand the want for change in those countries, and you know what? I absolutely agree. We should not be persecuting people for who they want to sleep with and who they want to pray to and things like that. But you have to understand that once you are in their country, it's their way, right? It's why simply. That's why, simply why. Like, for example, you know me, John. You know I've got like an adrenaline junkie sort of bent to me. Universal Studios Beijing just opened in China, and it is stunning. It is one of the best looking theme parks I've ever seen. I will never go there while the CCP rule, because I don't want to be subject to their lifestyle, their way of life, and their laws. So my choice would be to simply not go. And as you know, also, while we're speaking about China, they are very, very fundamentally anti-black in China.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very much so. And I would advise, if you are black and you're going to travel to China, just take note of that, right? Or make the choice not to travel to China if you feel like you're going to be discriminated against.
Well, have you ever seen the film Midnight Express?
I have not.
It's about an American who being a rather naive chap, takes some drugs to smuggle out of the country and tapes them around his body and gets caught on the way out.
Right.
And ends up in a Turkish prison.
Okay.
After that film, even though I don't smuggle drugs and never have, and wouldn't be inclined to, I thought, nope, I'm just not going to Turkey, even on the off chance that I may end up in a Turkish prison.
No. and I understand that, right? I understand that, and I understand that people that do want to make these travels. In fact, I spoke to somebody who went to the UAE, and I said to him, just because they are a little bit looser on their laws in the UAE than in other Middle Eastern countries, you've still got to be bloody careful. You still got to be bloody careful to abide by their laws, because they will prosecute you. And that's why I'm very surprised that Mr. Tatchell here only got his banner folded up.
You know what? If it wasn't on the run-up to the World Cup,
he would be in prison.
It'd be a completely different ballgame.
Yeah.
Different ballgame.
It's simply a diplomatic issue at this point, isn't it? He's a white British man. And what do they think is going to happen? And I mean, I want to go back to Black Gary for a minute. Let's go back to Black Gary, who hopes that 2 British footballers will out themselves in this country. Is he fucking stupid? Excuse my language, but is Gary Lineker? Oh. Yeah, he is stupid.
Yeah, he is. That. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But
you're right.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Yeah. Speaking of stupid,
Biden's getting his 5th. I mean, we can't really stick around on this for too long. Biden, go and get yours, man. Come on, man. Come and get your 5th with me, man. Trudy Stringer says, are people actually willing to go to Qatar? Well, Mark Drakeford's going.
Yeah.
Mark Drakeford's going.
And he's going against Labour's moratorium on boycotting it.
Yes, he is. From the New York Post, I put you onto this, didn't I?
You did indeed. Yes, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
I saw this headline, and it's damn true. Missing grandma's body found in a monster python that swallowed her whole. Now the story goes that grandma was out walking and didn't return.
And grandma was only 51.
Yeah, 51 years of age. So they went out looking for her, and they found her knife, her neck scarf, and her shoes, I believe. Yeah. But no grandma. And then they went looking again and found a 22-foot python with a massive lump in its middle. I mean, we shouldn't laugh.
It's like the scene out of Jaws.
Yeah.
When they cut the shark open and they expected the boy to pop out, except in this case,
Grandma did pop out.
Grandma did pop out.
Yeah. Grandma did pop out. And
of course she was dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like...
Don't survive a python.
No, the 22-foot python had bit her, constricted her, and then swallowed her whole.
It would have crushed her.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So, right, so the next one is I can't verify, right? So I can't
I've
authenticate
seen
that.
this.
I can't authenticate it. But regardless of that, it's a plausible theory.
Well, yeah, considering
thoughts?
considering Nord Stream. Let's look at Nord Stream. And...
Well, considering that Russia has asked the UN to investigate
yes,
the fact that Ukraine may be building a dirty bomb to use as a false flag.
Yeah.
Right? And then this theory comes out that it looks like Russia was able to intercept and decode conversations between MI6 and the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Suspicions are the conversations are related to the assembly and use of a dirty bomb in Ukraine, right? Fair dues. The British Defence Secretary had to fly to Washington the same day during the breach, and there was an incredible amount of communications traffic between all the European countries that are standing with Ukraine. So I think they've been caught out. I think the Russians have actually intercepted probably communications between the States and the UK and Ukraine, and they've been caught out they've been found out.
I think it could well be plausible. I think you could well be right. Obviously, we don't know for sure. We can't confirm it, as you say, but this seems like a plausible theory in my view. And you're absolutely right. And my point when we spoke about this last night was, why would Russia ask for it to be investigated? Because the claim was being made that Russia were going to do it, right?
Yeah.
By these other ones. Why would Russia then step in and say, well, you need to investigate this, if they were the ones that were going to do it?
And the same thing happened early on. Remember with the bodies that were positioned for the satellite?
Yes.
And then we found actual photographs of them being positioned.
Yeah, we found footage of them being positioned.
Yeah, we saw them getting dragged into position by Ukrainian soldiers, right? But Russia had already asked the UN to investigate it. So it seems that this could well be an accurate summation of what's happened without us being able to verify it.
Yeah.
So you have to take it with a pinch of salt.
You do.
But in the balance of probabilities, I'm swaying again towards the bad man Putin!
And moving on to a completely different story, and actually going back to what we were talking about in the first part of this show, which if you're watching back, you might not actually see. But
so I'd just like to read you some facts.
This from the ONS, isn't it?
Yes, from the ONS, and it's a record of deaths by type between 2020 and 2022. So it's 2 years worth. Okay.
So going to the right is excess, and going to the left is...
So starting at the bottom, we have a minus 37,000. Yes, minus 37,000 people died from respiratory diseases. Now that is minus 37 on the expected average.
I mean, it's a pandemic for you, John.
That's over 2 years, but minus 37,000 are below the expected normal level of average deaths from respiratory diseases.
During a respiratory pandemic.
Yeah, but let's not go into that.
Let's not.
On the other side of the coin, during those 2 years, deaths from cardiovascular and circulatory problems, digestive system, abnormal things like cancer and stuff like that, and diseases of the nervous system have gone through the roof. So, in general terms, though, less people have died on average during a pandemic.
Once again, we will not opine on that. You just make of it what you will. What you are seeing here is graph figures from the Office of National Statistics. This is directly from their website. We were reviewing it last night during the debate with Dr. David Cartland and Professor Dolores Cahill. I can't bring myself to call him a doctor. I can't.
I didn't realise he was. I thought he was just a shearer. Sheep shearer. Sorry.
Do we even name
Slip
him?
of the tongue. Slip of the tongue. It could happen to anyone.
Graham Botley. Dr. Graham Botley. I'll call him what he claims he is, okay? But, yeah, like John said earlier on in the first part of this, which if you're watching it back, you might not be able to see because it's in a separate video. They were both sometimes conservative with their figures. They were both sometimes right. They were both sometimes wrong. But ultimately, the one that was playing with facts and figures and statistics to create a narrative and answer questions and points that had not been raised and was, I'm going to use the term lying often, was Graham Botley. Graham Botley was lying often, and we were fact-checking him live on the fly. We were fact-checking them both live on the fly, and some of the claims that Professor Cahill made we could not verify, so we could not say were true, and a lot of the claims that Botley made we could not verify, and I mean a lot of the claims.
Most of
Botley's
claims, to be fair.
So I went back this morning.
Either untrue or unverified.
If you go and look at his Twitter account, actually, Swell Mutton, right? If you go look at it, all he's doing is retweeting people that go, "Oh, you owned Cahill last night. Oh, you were amazing. Oh, you were so good." Well, he was lying quite a lot. He was lying.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wasn't,
and he was wrong.
And yeah,
in his presentation of facts, he was wrong.
Yes, very, very often. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got proof right here on the screen. He said that no cardiovascular diseases had gone up at all. What's this?
Yep.
What's this?
Well, it looks like cardiovascular diseases have increased.
Yeah.
Above average.
He said it didn't happen. Yeah.
And he said more people died from respiratory diseases than they should have. No, they didn't. In fact, the reverse is completely true.
Unless
less people died than should have.
Unless, of course, the Office of National Statistics, Mr. Botley, are liars.
Oh, they might be.
I mean, he kept calling Cahill a liar, didn't he?
Yeah. Of course, that's what it is. You'll be right, Graham.
Remember when he said he had an isolate of the virus?
Yes.
And she goes, "Okay, well, please send it to one of our many well-renowned labs." And he's like, "No,
I'm not doing that.
Not doing that. You can't have it.
You guys aren't reputable.
I've got it, but you can't have it." It's like an episode of Bullseye, isn't it? They bring it up, they reveal the shed. It's like, "Oh, you could have won that shed. Yep, you could have won that shed, but you're not getting it. You're not getting it. It's right there. You can see it."
Right. So we spoke about Danielle Smith
Smith from Alberta. Yep.
Yeah. So apparently she has cancelled a health consulting agreement involving the World Economic Forum.
Oh, well.
Now, a few questions here.
Go on then.
Why did they even have a health consulting agreement with the World Economic Forum?
Because we have penetrated the cabinets, John.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah.
And really, why would you take advice from a group of anonymous bankers based in Central Europe, Switzerland?
I don't know.
Why would you take advice from them?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you take advice locally from your own people, from people that are on the ground, from people that know how to run things in your environment, not someone else's highly controlled environment?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, John. You're absolutely right, and this does need to be called out. The World Economic Forum needs to be called out. The stuff about them clearly is, there might be some out there stuff, but clearly they are a nefarious force who are trying to, as Klaus himself said, penetrate the cabinets in order to get their agenda implemented worldwide. And this can't be allowed. Countries should be allowed to govern themselves and the like. Basically, no, Klaus. And shall we move on to The Guardian?
Yeah, let's move on to The Guardian.
Over 2,000 Guardian readers told us.
First of all, 2,000 Guardian readers. I think actually this sets the scene This puts the level of credibility around what we're about to hear.
What the fact
Please
that
carry
they're
on,
saying, the fact that they're saying there are 2,000 Guardian readers.
Yeah, go on.
Aren't the Guardian like asking way more often for money and donations than we are? In every article, it's like the Guardian's going bust. Please give us your money. I mean, we're going bust. Yeah, we would always appreciate a donation.
You have 2 days to save Chasing Dissent.
Yeah, do so. So patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed kofi.com/Chasing Dissent. Anyway, the Guardian say over 2,000 Guardian readers told us about their long coup fight. Here are their stories. So they've got 2,000 people's stories here, have they? Or have they got two?
Apparently.
Or have they got two?
Yeah, well, they really just have it's just a bunch of anecdotal. It's just a bunch of anecdotes, isn't it?
So basically, I could have written into the Guardian and they would have published one of these stories.
Anyone could do that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's no journalism around it. There's no verification.
No.
There's no medical science behind it.
No.
So it's basically just people saying that they've got things and that it was caused by this thing and not that thing and this thing and not that thing. So it's another example of victimhood and how people really want to be victims. Because
no, you're absolutely right.
It seems to be the one thing that people can grasp and use to define themselves in today's society.
Mm-hmm.
They are victims. It's not their fault. They're victims. And they can't help it.
They can't help
it. So, society owes them.
Society does owe them, John. It does, okay? Because you're right, they're victims. I'm going to go back to the chat because Banana Monarchy says something here. And I do want to address it because it's ridiculous. And I've been hearing it for like the last 2 or 3 days. LBC saying today, if you are against the WEF or globalism, then you are anti-Semitic. We are now being told that the word globalism is an anti-Semitic racist slur, and I'm hearing it again and again and again. And before I even let you speak, John, I just want to say one thing. No, it's not. It's fucking bullshit. No.
Do you know what's coming next, don't you?
What?
If you're against the BBC or GB News or Sky News, then you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah. If you're against if you're against mainstream narratives, or if you're exposing an inconvenient truth, then what they'll do is they'll take that inconvenient truth and that thing that is doing something bad and nefarious and say, well, if you call that out, you're a racist. Yeah? That's what they do. It's as Banana Monarchy says, it's the thing they hide behind. And it's not just the terms anti-Semitic, it's terms far-right, it's racist.
But it's not even a thing they hide behind. What it's designed to do is shut down any kind... Is to shut down any kind of... what would you call it?
Questioning, debate.
Any questioning, any debate, any disapproval, you can just shut it down by saying these things. And it's exactly the same procedures and policies that Black Lives Matter and Antifa and even Just Stop Oil and Greenpeace put in place. You just shut down debate because they come up with this massive overriding thing. Oh no, you're a racist, or you want people to die, or you're just shutting down debate because you're saying things. And this is exactly what Botley did last night as well.
Yeah,
he puts words into people's mouths that they never said.
Yep.
It's like fact checkers when they go and fact check a fact that they've made up. Because that's what they do all the time. When you look at what the fact checker's actually fact checking, it's not the statement that was made. It's not the statement that they're fact checking. They make up their own fact check and then fact check that. Yeah. And the first original statement still stands because nobody's ever looked at it.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that, that's the terrifying 1984 style reality in which we are living. And speaking of 1984 and Canada, the Vancouver City Savings Union, known as Vancity, has teamed up with Ecolite IQ, one of the climate engagement technology firms in Europe, to provide the first Visa carbon counter in Canada.
This is just a conspiracy theory.
Yep.
This was always a conspiracy theory.
We said this was going to happen.
This is never going to happen. Oh, hold on. Has this happened?
It's social credit.
No, it's a conspiracy theory.
It's social credit, John.
But it was a conspiracy theory. How could this come to fruition? How could it?
Do you know what I'm worried
it's a
about?
Conspiracy.
Do you know what I'm worried about? And this does make me think. And do you know all of the times that people do say these things, like there's going to be a card where if you spend too much or buy too much, they'll block you from buying because you're doing too much with your carbon and like. I'm worried that the people that are predicting these things are actually giving them the idea.
No, they don't need to, because it's already implemented it in China.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And let's face it, where do our current Prime Minister get his ideas from? China. Where does the Democrat Party get a lot of its ideas from?
China.
Where does Europe get many of its ideas from? China. Where did the whole idea of quarantining healthy people come from?
China.
So, hey.
China is asshole.
And speaking of Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton. Have you ever heard Al Sharpton speak?
Yes.
He's so ineloquent that is unbelievable. This is a guy that said, and we must resist we muchly.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so ineloquent. So he said he's come out against Kanye.
Well, yeah, I've not really got myself into this Kanye West anti-Semitism thing, but Kanye West has apparently said like he's going for the Jews or something, or going DEFCON on the Jews. I don't know.
Well, Netflix haven't pulled the documentary down. They said it's staying up.
Okay, so anyhow, he's done something or he said something. Kanye's done a Kanye, because Kanye keeps doing this. He keeps making outlandish, often truthful, but sometimes maybe a bit racist statements.
He's pushing the buttons, isn't he? I mean, you can see what he's doing because he's in a position of strength, right?
Well, I don't think he is anymore because he's lost everything, including his lawyers.
He hasn't lost his money though, has he?
Well, no, I don't think he's lost his money, but he's certainly losing avenues to make more.
Yeah, okay, but when you've got that kind of money, there's always avenues on how to make more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with Kanye's background, he can always pull something out of the rule.
Oh no, I'm absolutely sure you're right, because he owns his Yeezy shoe company and the like, and he owns like massive plots of land, and he's a billionaire. He's very, very successful, and he does have the means behind him to be able to go out and get quote unquote cancelled, because he's got enough to keep him going. But a lot of the stuff he's saying is just basic reality. I'm not going to say that what he said about the Jews was basic reality, because I don't know, right? I don't know what he said. But a lot of the stuff he's saying, like the points he made about white men being the most discriminated against group of people, it's true, right? And people don't like to people don't like to hear that inconvenient truth. But that is where we are, in at least in the UK, in the USA, and places like that. Because you've got these things called diversity quotas, and people like BBC do it as well. No white men, please. Don't apply here if you're white. You can't apply for this job if you're a white man. And they have literal quotas to say, well, people of this skin color, people of this sexuality have to get the job over someone who might be eminently more qualified or more able to do it, but because of their skin color, they can't. That's discrimination. That is, there's nothing else you can call it, and it's racism. And people will come at me and have a go at me and say that's not racism. Fucking well is. And I'm sick of people not saying it.
It is racism. I mean, positive discrimination is racism.
There's no such thing as positive discrimination. They call it positive because you're white. They say it's a positive thing to discriminate against the white man. Why? Why is it a positive thing?
It's just not. Now, before we move on to the next one, I saw a comment today on a YouTube video, and it really aged well. Okay, because someone had said, "How's everyone doing in these days of the disease, right?"
Right.
And someone had replied to it saying, "We're doing brilliant here in New Zealand. We've just come out of lockdown." And things are really looking on the up. And then And I'm thinking, there's a tweet that didn't age well, because just shortly after that, New Zealand got humped, and it now has a higher rate than almost anywhere else in the world.
And it's fully open.
And it's fully open.
And it's fully open. So
yeah, New Zealand, great job. and you crashed your economy too.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. Right, let us move on. We are going to go past the hour today, but we've actually got really good viewing figures on YouTube. So thank you all for coming to watch over here. So we will continue
thank you for
to
staying.
the end of the list. Yes, thank you for staying after that blunder at the beginning. We're going to move on to a tweet from Raheem J. Kassam. He is a Breitbart employee, or he used to be. I'm not sure if he is anymore. He used to be the editor of Breitbart London. He now lives over in the States. But he says, new, an unknown number of Twitter employees are circulating an open letter to Elon Musk demanding they be allowed to keep all their jobs, pick journalistic and geopolitical winners and losers, and retain all their employment benefits, the participation trophy generation. Now, I'm going to read some of this here as well. We, the undersigned Twitter workers, believe the public conversation is in jeopardy. Elon Musk's plan to lay off 75% of Twitter workers will hurt Twitter's ability to serve the public conversation.
How will that hurt?
It will hurt the public conversation because they won't be able to control it.
But how will that hurt the public conversation? Will that not just enable it?
No, because you have to look at it from the point of view of these activists, right? Because that's what they are.
I know that. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I know you are. I know you are. But they believe that their version of the conversation, their censorship, is righteous. It is good. It is proper. It is the only way that we can move forward. Protection. We demand Elon Musk explicitly commit to preserve our benefits, those both listed in the merger agreement and not, e.g. remote work. We demand leadership to establish and ensure fair severance policies for all workers before and after any change in ownership. And he's made his position clear about remote work. He made it very clear on the Twitter all hands meeting. We watched it when he spoke to them. He said, I only in extreme circumstances would he allow it. He thinks you should show up and you should do your job and you should be brilliant. And if you can do that, then you'll be able to keep your job. He's going to lay a load of you off. And I believe it's this Friday. And do you know what? With the way they've treated me personally, the way they've treated you, the way they've treated so many other people, I do not feel bad for them. I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for them. I wish I could, but I don't. I don't feel bad for them in any way, shape, or form. You brought this on yourselves by doing what you've done, by creating the public conversation that you wanted to create. You forced this man to step in and do this. You did it.
Yeah.
And then you want to demand things off him when he has done what he has done to explicitly stop you? Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Let's move on, shall we?
Well, this is the last one of the day, and I'll leave you with this thought.
High risk gainers is an anagram of Rishi Sunak.
That is all.
Let us pray.
Shut up already. It's science.
I hope you have enjoyed this show today. I really want to thank you all for sticking with us and for coming back and helping us out of our technical hitch at the beginning. I have really enjoyed this one. I think it's been a fantastic one. And tomorrow is our 150th episode, John.
150.
150. So if you really have
not
enjoyed
a dishwashed.
No. But if you really have enjoyed it, then please do leave a like if you're over on YouTube. Do subscribe if you haven't already. And if you'd like, then click that little share button and evangelize for us, as John would say. So that tell the people of the good word of Chasing Dissent. And if you really, really feel generous, then you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And we would really appreciate that because that helps pay the electricity bills here, and they are going up, as you know, and we all know that you can't afford much, and we wouldn't ask for a lot off you, but yeah, if you are able to, and only if you are able to, then please consider a little bit of support. That is all we would ask.
That's it. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending this, episode 149 of Chasing Dissent Live, brought to you from the voice of Ben and John.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience. So, good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.